Hello and welcome to That's Just Prime, and today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Prime Weaponizer Optimus Prime, and I love this toy. Originally released in July of 2012, this guy retailed for approximately $30, and this was one of those toys that was not very popular along the fandom, but I, for one, really enjoy this toy, not just because it's an Optimus Prime, but I also find it to be a really good toy. It's a great kid's toy and a really neat collectible. So here's Prime in his long-nosed truck mode that he had in the Prime series, which we've all become pretty much familiar with at this point. Here in truck mode, Optimus is approximately 9.5 inches long and about 4 inches tall. He rolls pretty nicely, and he looks overall pretty good if you're looking at him from the front or from the side. We're going to be getting into the back here in just a second. You're probably going to notice a couple of differences in maybe the paint and the weapons and stuff like that. Reason for that being is, of course, you guys know by now, I hate black wheels. This guy came with black wheels, and I hate that. So I painted the wheels on mine, and I also gave him a couple little chrome details here and there. You might see, as we go along in the review, you might see some paint differences from the original product, or maybe if you have one for yourself, maybe you'll see some differences with yours. That's because I did that myself. So now getting into what the problem was with the back, going around the truck is really nicely detailed. I really love the way this truck looks. It looks just like the one on the show. It's a really cool looking truck. And just getting into the detail here, let's see if we can get in close. You can see lots of rivets and lots of cool little detail. The wheels look nice. The grill looks nice. Now, they could have done with a little paint on here, and that's something that I've been thinking about doing. I haven't really kind of gotten the courage to do it, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it and just go ahead and chrome this out myself. Just paint it silver. This figure suffered from a lot of unpainted plastic, so just like I did with the wheels, I'm probably going to end up doing to the step here and to the grill, just to make it look a little better. But overall, a really nice, cool-looking truck. But then when you get to the back of the truck here, you can see the arms for the robot, you can see the chest for the robot, and this whole back here is just open and hollow and just, out in plain sight like that. And that's a bit of a shame because it looks like, I don't know, I think that it could have been relatively easy to put a couple of flaps here, one on each side, something that could maybe hinge open, and it would have been really easy to hide these arms. Maybe not so much with the chest, but I think it could have been really easy to hide these arms here, or maybe have something with the heels and the toes would have been collapsible into each other and then continue to rotate into the leg and maybe have that help cover this up a little bit. I don't know, but there seems to be a couple of relatively simple solutions to this openness here, and for some reason they didn't do it. Now, I don't work for Hasbro, so I don't know why. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors in the planning, but that's a bit of a shame. But other than that, I think this truck mode looks really nice. Now, Optimus does come with a weapon. It's this little handgun right here. And it's got the little peg, so you can go ahead and you can peg this on the side if you want. Because, once again, we don't have any storage for this weapon in vehicle mode other than just having it out in the open, which I'm typically not a big fan of. But I did come up with a solution that I think works for both the weapon and the back of the truck here. So what I've done is, just to give you a closer look here, this is another one of those parts that was unpainted gray plastic. It looked just like the front of this grill right here. It looked almost white. But I went ahead and just painted this silver. And then I went ahead and got a second gun. So I got two of these now. And this is pretty cool because if you want to do like an attack mode or something like that, you can plug them onto the side if you want. One on each side, just like so. And there you go. You can have an attack mode like that goes along with the other attack mode that you're going to see in a minute. Now, but what I tend to do is this. Usually, you'll see this guy transform, and you can take these wrists. The wrists are articulated, so you can go ahead. It's kind of hard to do in truck mode itself, but you can turn them around like that so that the hands are not so obvious in truck mode. But there's a reason why I leave them out like this, because what I like to do is I go ahead and take these guns. And even though this is not something that I particularly like doing with my vehicle modes, but in this case, it kind of works. I like to put the guns in just like that, just have them handheld, as they would in robot mode. And it kind of helps to conceal a little bit. Not much, obviously. There's still all this open space here. But it does kind of help just a little bit to conceal that back part there. And I don't think they necessarily look very very blatant as guns. They look like maybe there's some piping or some equipment or something in the back of the truck. I don't know, use your imagination. But I kind of like the way that looks. I kind of dig that. I think it helps kind of conceal both the weapon and the emptiness of the truck. So if you got a second gun, that kind of works. If you got one, with only one, it works a little bit, not much. But that's why I went ahead and got the second gun. So there you go. Now, looking at the attack mode, this guy does have a pretty cool attack mode. If you see the button up here, what you're going to do is you're going to press on this button and these cannons are going to pop out of the front. So what we're going to want to do is, unfortunately, you have to open the grill up. So you just take the grill right here at the top and just kind of flip it open. And sometimes it can get stuck. There you go. You're just going to flip the grill open just like so. And unfortunately, there's no way around that. It would have been nice if it would have just done the attack as is. Kind of like a Rhino from Mask, if you guys are familiar with that, where the whole front grill would just pop open when they went into attack mode. Unfortunately, not the case. You have to open the grill up, and then this usually stays up, or it can come down. It doesn't really matter. It can stay up, though. And then you're going to take this button up here and just press on that, and these twin Gatling guns are going to come out of the front, which I think are really, really cool. I really love the way that looks. I love the whole attack feature for this vehicle. I think it's really, really fun. Now, to reset that, you're going to come around the front, or around to the bottom of the truck, rather. And you can see pretty much most of the robot already right there. You can see his chest, his head right there, his legs. So, but you see there's a little red lever right here on what will be his chest later on. We're just going to take that and pull that all the way down. And you probably notice that little light in there. We'll take a look at that later in robot mode. But you pull down on the lever, or you pull back on the lever rather, and it locks into place, and you're all ready to go for one more run at the attack mode. There you go. Just like that. I really love that attack mode. It's so cool. Really love it. So, getting into transformation, you can transform him with the weapons deployed or not deployed. Completely up to you. Doesn't really matter. So, I'm just going to put them away. I'm going to take away his handguns, and we're going to get into the transformation, which is going to be very tough. This is a very nice size, relatively big robot. For the price, I think this guy was a lot of fun, really cool. So let's see where we want to start. We're going to start right here with the grill. Just go ahead and pull the grill out to the front, and then just kind of, it's going to hinge right there. And if you remember these little flaps right here earlier from when we were doing the attack mode, just go ahead and hinge up on that, and basically you're going to lay the grill flat over top of the hood, just like so. You can go ahead, let's just make it a little easier. Go ahead and unpeg. The arms are actually pegged into the back of the legs right there, so you can just kind of pop those forward and pop off the guns while you're at it. Why not? Come on, get in there. So go ahead and just release those, and you can see the little tabs right there. These tabs were just pegged into the back of the legs there. And then we are going to take this whole sleeper cap portion right here. We are going to, let's see, first start right here at the footstool, or that's the steps, the little footstep right there, and that tends to be sometimes a toolbox. Go ahead and just unpeg those from the side of the truck. Those are just, bam, pegged in really tight, as you can see, but that pegs in right there, and just flip them all the way back. Same thing on the other side, just unpeg them and flip them all the way back. And this entire sleeper cap here is just going to rotate forward, like so. If you look at the top of the sleeper, there's a little slot right there. We're going to peg that into the front of the grill, just like that. And then you can see that these portions here are on the hinge. So you can just separate those, bring them down, and then rotate them in just like that. And I have now released those guns again one more time. You know, you practice this before you start filming. I practiced this several times, not once that I released those guns. And of course, when I'm doing that in front of the camera, Murphy's Law applies. So what are you going to do? Okay, so that's pretty much going to take care of the backpack for Optimus right there. Now we got these, the arms. These guys, you can see the two chest window pieces here. These are kind of tabbed in together. So go ahead and just separate those. And then this whole assembly here is going to, you can kind of do this in two parts here. Just rotate this out so it's out of the way. And then it's going to rotate at this hinge here. So go ahead and just rotate all the way out. And then you can finish rotating that over, and that's going to bring the arm into place. So same thing on this side. I'm just going to kind of bring the arm out, get it out of the way, rotate this entire gray assembly forward, and then finish rotating the arm. I'm going to go ahead and bring the head up and out, and then I'm going to bring these two chest pieces in, and these guys are going to peg in. There's a tab there, and there's a slot there. These guys are just going to tab right into the chest. They're not going to come together. They're not going to tab together. There's going to be a gap right there in the middle of the chest. Straighten out the arms, and straighten out the legs again, and then once again, just go ahead and separate the legs, and then these pieces here obviously are going to be the toes, so straighten those out. And then you get your Optimus all straightened out and standing straight. And there is Optimus in robot mode, and I'm going to have to really back away because this guy is pretty tall. There you go. There's Optimus in robot mode, and he looks awesome. Here in robot mode, Optimus is approximately 9 inches tall, and he looks exactly, I think, like the show model from Transformers Prime. He looks fantastic. The proportions are there. The lines are there. Everything is there. I think he looks fantastic. However, this figure got a lot of hate in this department right here. I'm about to show you. It's this right here. He has a relatively big backpack, and it's due to the gimmick because you've got that Gatling gun gimmick that we saw in the truck mode, and we're going to see it again in robot mode. And because of that, you can't really get away from this backpack here. Unfortunately, it gives him a bit of a backpack. It makes him a little back heavy. The heel spurs here are doing a pretty good job of holding him up. But yeah, he does have a relatively, I'm not going to say huge, but it's a good sized backpack. I'm going to say this about the backpack. I've seen bigger and much uglier backpacks on other Optimus Prime figures, especially like in the movie toys, like the movie 1 Voyager Prime had a really hideous backpack on him. I've seen uglier and I've seen bigger. I don't think this is the worst backpack that we've seen on an Optimus Prime. But for some reason, this was the figure that everybody decided to focus that hate on for the backpack. So, I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much. Like I said, I've said it 3 times, I've said it a million times. The backpack, I've seen bigger, I've seen worse. I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen. So, I can live with it. I really don't mind it all that much. Now, as far as articulation goes, this guy's got a pretty well articulated. It's really nice. He's got I think it's a ball joint. I don't know if it's a ball joint or a double hinge. It's really hard to see in there. But you do have some up and down on the head. And I have to do this from far away, unfortunately. But you have up and down and you have rotation. So you have a pretty good range of motion with the head there. And then, let's see. Let's move the camera up some. And let's get in close here to the head. And we're going to have to do this sideways, unfortunately. But I want you to check out the head sculpt on this guy, if we can get focused in. Because there you go. Once again, the head sculpt on this guy is just gorgeous. He looks just like that Optimus Prime that we had in Transformers Prime series. It's a really, really nice head sculpt. I really enjoy it a lot. And I love the fact that it has a mouth plate, because I was not a big fan of Optimus's look without the mouth plate on that show. I think it's cool that they do the whole mouth plate comes on and off thing in so many shows now. I really enjoy that feature. And especially when they do it in a toy. When the toy has a mouth plate that goes up and down, I really, really love it. But for just the Transformers Prime show model without the faceplate, it just always looked weird to me. I never got used to it, so I'm glad that my Prime toy has a mouth plate. So we saw the articulation on the head, shoulders. We've got a hinge right here so we can go in and out, and we've also got a rotation. And as you can see, the armor plate right here on the shoulder can also move. So if you're doing some of those outward motions, it can get out of the way just like so. I see a lot of people pose this like this, and I don't like that. I don't like that look at all. I don't think that's correct. I think the only reason this moved is just so that you can move the arms up. I think it's the whole reason it's there. And I enjoy it, so there you go. You've got a rotation right here at the top of the bicep. You've got a hinge at the elbow. As I discussed before, we have a rotation at the wrist as well, which is nice. Sadly, no waist articulation. Did I say waist? Wrist. Wrist spins. Waist, no waist articulation on this one. Unfortunately, it's because of the whole torso here is just this one big solid piece for the attack mode. You've got universal joints right here at the hip, so you've got in and out. You got that ratchet in and out there. You got a forward and backwards. You got a rotation right at the knee along with a bend. And you have, because of the transformation, a little bit of pivot right here at the feet. So really nice articulation on this figure. This guy is big and just big chunky figure. I really enjoy it a lot. And let's get centered here. We'll bring in his guns so you can see what he looks like with those. And we'll give him just a cool little, like a double-handed pose there. And let's see, can we give him a cool pose? Yeah, there we go. That looks all right. That's pretty good right there for the camera. So yeah, like I said, I like this figure. I really like the way it looks. And that backpack that everybody hates so much, I don't mind it so much. So there you go. Awesome figure. So getting into the attack mode. The attack mode and robot mode is pretty cool because it's pretty much the same thing that you just saw in the truck mode, but you have two ways to deploy it. So right here, for the sake of the camera, right here as you're facing them, you see there's a little yellow button right here. So you press on that, and this time around, you're going to notice that there's a red light on his chest that's going to illuminate while the guns are being deployed. So go ahead, and there's a little yellow button right here. We'll just press on that, and there you go. There's those Gatling guns once again. And if you bring this down about halfway, you can see that light right there. Let me see. Let's get rid of this. And you can see that light right in there, right inside the chest. Once you get the Gatling guns all the way down, it goes out. It goes away. And then while they're deploying, that light will come on. Once fully deployed, once again, the light is going to go off. So that's pretty cool. We'll just do that, and then we'll deploy them once again. And that's what that looks like at full speed. So there you go. And again, the Gatling guns, I think, look pretty cool. Now, it does give him these flaps that go all the way up. But they made it to where, you know, in truck mode, because of the way the bumper, or not the bumper, the grill, the way the grill sits in the truck mode, it keeps these straight so that when you deploy them, technically you're like this, and they stay out like that, which is pretty cool. But then, that with that bumper, or that grill rather, out of the way, once you're in robot mode, they can actually bend forward like so. So they can become shoulder cannons, and I really, really love that. I think those look fantastic, and I just love that gimmick right there. Now, one thing that's really cool about this is that this button that was on the roof of the truck is still there, and it's still functional. So if you're playing with him, and you're playing with somebody else, or the kids are playing with someone else, they don't have to reach around to the front to deploy those Gatling guns. They can just do it from the back here, just like so, while they're playing. So it's really cool. I really enjoy the fact that they put the two deployment methods right there on the robot. And see, we'll do it right here without touching the yellow button. There you go, just like that. So I think that's pretty cool. I really enjoy that. And I think I'm going to leave him with his guns deployed just like that for the ending shot. Yeah, that's a cool pose right there. I think I'm going to leave him like that. That looks pretty cool. So, yeah, like I said, this guy for $30, it's a really nice sized figure. I really enjoy it a lot. And it got a lot of hate, unfortunately, but I don't think it's well deserved. I think this it's a little bit of an underrated figure. So I think that about covers Transformers Prime Weaponizer Optimus Prime. What do you think of this figure, and what would you like to see me review next? Let me know by leaving me a comment down below. Give me some thumbs up. Subscribe and share with your friends if you like what you see, and I'll talk to you next time on That's Just Prime.